Welcome here to a very special wake-up call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. I am split screen with a friend, somebody that I respect and in and out of the business of football, somebody that I appreciate very much. That is Tim Lester right over here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the head coach in his fourth season at Western Michigan with the Broncos and Kalamazoo, and the former quarterback of the Broncos. So going back there to his alma mater. Tim, how you doing?
Good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. And, I thought this hat that you sent my way is pretty fresh with like this, like just the outline and the white and all that. And then I'm looking at your W hat. And I'm like, man, I'm going to have to get myself some more gear up there.
This is for us. This is the old logo. This is like back when I played. This just shows that I played here in the 90s.
I was going to say, did you accept the job as the Washington football team's head coach?
No. Anytime you wear these colors around, people know that you're an alumni. For sure.
That's awesome. So tell me about, well, first and foremost, I got to thank you because for the people that can't see it, I mean, I said, can you send something over? I'll shamelessly plug in and show you some love. And you sent me a care package of like the gear that you wear on the field. I feel like I have coach gear and like almost head to toe everything. I can't thank you enough for it, but one of the greatest care packages that I've ever gotten. And I wanted to say thank you, but I mean, this is incredible stuff that you sent over here.
Yeah, well, we obviously, me and you go way back, and I appreciate you, and I'm glad you asked. My equipment guy's the best, so I know it took a little bit of time to get there, but it got there.
Let me tell you, it got there before DeAndre Smith, who I'm still waiting on.
That's a win. LD.
Yeah, D is in his own time world. I don't know what's going on with D. But so I was watching your game, obviously that you had recently here. Fantastic finish. Here's the awesome thing about football, in my belief in you, is that there's 4 minutes and some change. Let's say 4:21 or something like that. You probably know the exact time, but that's what I remember, 4:41. And if you're down by 10, it's 38-28. And some teams you think it's out of reach. There's no way, it can't happen. Your team, and it's something about it, I was like, because I had the game on and it was on in the house and whatnot. And I was like, let me go upstairs. I want to see, what's going on, how much time is left. I didn't want to miss it. So I go upstairs and I see you're down by 10. And I was like, that's all right. I was like, it's a touchdown and a field goal. Bring me into this fantastic finish. I mean, you were one of the first things on SportsCenter, plays all over the place. I mean, I shared the footage and it was going all over our social media. What an incredible game, and probably even more awesome, I'm sure, to live it.
Yeah, it was obviously there's been a lot of great finishes over the years, but that was probably one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting finish. Our guys just kept playing. We had a lot of calls go against us. We didn't play our greatest game. We knew going into the game, they had a new D coordinator. We had no clue what they were going to do on defense, which was going to be difficult for Caleb, our young quarterback. And then we got to the point where, we had to go fast. And we worked a ton on situational football. Luckily, the coverage they played in the last 2 drives was a coverage we knew was coming. So we had a chance to game plan it. We worked on it all week and went down and scored, got the onside kick, went down and scored again. And I think we were still down 10 under 2 minutes. I think it was like 1 minute and 58 seconds left, and we were down 10, and we ended up winning by 3. So it was a great finish.
Yeah, I mean, and you had some trick stuff going on in here. I was ecstatic because, I mean, first and foremost, it's a great game to watch. But secondly, like you said, we go way back, and I consider you one of my friends that I appreciate and respect, that, somebody that's dear to me. So I'm there watching the game as a fan of football. I'm also there going, all right, Tim Lester, like, what do you got in the bag? You know what I mean? And and you had some stuff, and I gotta go into the. Well, before it all happened, so you're down by 10, 38-28. Let's get into your quarterback, Eleby, and what he was able to do to get down the field and systematically move the ball. I mean, you're a former quarterback. You've coached up quarterbacks. So bring me into what you saw Eleby do. Did he do what he was supposed to do? And was this systematic? Because the commentators kept talking about the time. What about the time? Do they know about the time? And he was just working it. So talk to me about that.
He did exactly what he should. I did go back and hear them saying we're not going fast enough. We're getting 10 yards a clip, and the plays are taking 5 seconds. So we have tons of time. And so, they were dropping 8. And the hardest thing to get a young quarterback to understand is you gotta get the first down. You know, if they're not, don't force the ball until you have to force the ball. And he went check down, check down, check down, check down, and we went 30 to 40 yards down the field. We were working the same matchup the entire time, and we had talked about it. And finally, you know, we got the boundary corner, boundary third player to bite on a bender in front of him. He threw a laser beam down the left sideline. It was an unbelievable throw high to Eskridge, who went up and made an unbelievable catch. I mean, he executed both 2-minute drills about as good as he can. Then he showed he's a freshman, because the next 3 plays he was terrible. You know, we were on the 4-yard line. He threw the one late. He threw another one late, and he missed the read. So we quarterback sneaked him in. We have a special quarterback sneak push play. But we had, I mean, those 3 is like, man, he's a freshman. He's still learning, you know, because we should have scored on the next play. And then we had 3 different onside kicks called, and we're able to get that done and put him back out there, and he went back to his 2-minute drill. So the last thing that develops as a young quarterback is the red zone timing. It's the last thing. It happens so much faster. You're just trying to get regular timing down, which is faster than anything you've ever seen. And then you get in the red zone, and it's even faster. And, you know, we had a long talk, me and him, the next day, and he's efficient. You know, I don't know what his efficiency is, but I know it's high. He's got to be one of the tops in the country. He's doing a really good job, but he still can get a lot better, you know, and trying to get a young quarterback to check down in 2-minute drills is extremely difficult. And he did it every time. And then finally, the 2 times that we got there underneath coverage to be a little bit more aggressive, he took advantage of both of them, and it was unbelievably executed.
You know, and it was funny because, you know, like you said, you went back, you listened to the commentators, and they said right as the play was developing, they said, well, you're not gonna throw the ball downfield. You're not gonna go for a deep pass. And he went for Eskridge on that play where he leapt up and got it over the defender. But I mean, Eskridge is just, he's an awesome weapon for you to have. Bring me into not only that play, but in general. I mean, he was all over for you in those, you know, down by 10 and in helping this become a victory for you. And I know his name because I know that he could be a thorn in the side of anybody that you play. So just bring me into that play itself and going for that deep ball and trust, you know, Eleby trusting his arm and Eskridge, you know, trusting his hands to go for a play like that by the goal line.
Yeah, we have one of the keys to having a young quarterback. Well, when I was at Syracuse, we had Dungy. You know, when you have a young quarterback, you can't just run a couple plays, but you need to keep the reads the same. So we have 4 plays that do the same thing, and the reads are the same for all 4 plays. And so we have been trying to get in that hole for a long time. We tried switch verts with the check down. We tried straight verts with the check down. We tried 3-by-1 and over route with the check down, and just kept trying to get the second defender off of D because he was running by the corner, but the safety was over the top. And we were trying to find a way to get that safety to be tight, and he wouldn't. And the best one was the last one we ran. As soon as the inside receiver bent, the safety just took one false step. All it took is one false step, and that's all he needed. Now he had to throw a bullet. I mean, that's a 1 in a million throw now. It had to be high enough for the corner that was trailing not to get it. Any more air and the safety gets there, and then you need to have a guy that can elevate and high point a ball, you know. And so the timing was great, and the execution was unbelievable, and that got us to a 1-score game, and then obviously they executed down the stretch too.
You know, and we look at not only, you know, that play itself, but after that play, Toledo just, I don't think they could get you any closer to the goal line with the penalties that were there. And it was just a little bit closer. And what seemed effortless to you with Eleby running it in, some teams just, they can't quarterback sneak. You know, they don't have the line for it. They don't have the ability for it. He made it look easy. I would think that when a quarterback needs a yard or a half of a yard or a quarter of a yard, I mean, that's something you have to do. But I unfortunately have seen the other side of it where they need a half of an inch and they go back 3 yards. So, you know, bring me into that too.
Yeah, you know, we ran that play earlier on in the game for a touchdown. It's been a play we've run here for about 3 years. Ever since they changed the rule that allows pushing, you know, we get to bring our 275-pound tight end in and snap the ball when he's right behind the quarterback and let him help, you know.
Yeah.
And we're really big up front. And so I was more frustrated with just the execution of the last three plays, because my biggest fear was that we didn't make it. It was a first down, but my biggest fear was we needed to score. We needed to make it a one-score game. And once we had the penalty, they pretty much tackled D off the ball. Then we got the penalty. He was kind of off on those three plays. So I wanted to run it. We got close enough that I felt like our quarterback sneak would work. And man, they pushed him in easy. And, because the play before we had an uncovered guy. If Caleb would have read it correctly, there was no one on the running back in the end zone. He got spooked, and he did a good job of throwing it away. That's the great thing. Even when he was wrong on those three plays on the 4-yard line or 3-yard line, he never took a sack. He was late and threw it away. He was late, he underthrew it. He was late, he threw it away. And we got the penalty and put it on the one. And then I wanted to get him to the sideline, calm him down. And we felt like the push was the fastest way to get in the end zone, because you kind of lean towards passing in that scenario only because there's a lot of fear, and if you don't get in, you lose a lot of seconds, and seconds were very valuable at that point.
Yeah, I mean, speaking here with Tim Lester, the head coach of Western Michigan, 4th year with the Broncos, and obviously an alum there. After that play, my head says, and I'm sorry if I put it out there because it was in my head, but I was like, oh man, if they missed the extra point, and then he missed the extra point, and so the onside kick was coming no matter what. But you probably have the numbers on, but I feel like 0.08% of the time this thing works. You got two guys coming and crossing on this. I mean, and I always marvel at people that, because there's like a traditional onside kick, but I marvel at doing different things. And what I've always loved about you and what you do is like there's the Lester way. And you're building that resume of like the Lester way, where you try things and you take calculated risks. You roll the dice, you take a gamble because there's a high reward, and obviously things could maybe not go your way, but you do things differently, which makes you stand out in a good way because, you got the cojones to do it, so to speak. So you go out there, bring me into this onside kick because this was insane. And in real time, seeing the ball pop through, go by Toledo, and you're like, okay, did he touch it? And then your guy's on the ground and he just goes like this. Just grabs the ball and just pulls it right. Like I see him like on the ground, like a movie. He just grabs it and tucks it in and goes like that. And so bring me into that.
Yeah, well, they had a new defensive or special teams coordinator, so we really had no clue how they were going to align. So we set up kind of our base alignment. So we have two kickers out there. We have our punter and our kicker.
Yeah.
And so depending on the look, we can call an onside either way. And if we feel like they're pretty protected on both sides and only keep one guy in the middle, we can just let those two kids. So the two kids that did it were our kicker and our punter, which is not normally what you think about in an onside kick scenario. But Tiago, we call it the Brazilian bunt. He's really good at that little bunt onside kick to the point that he's kind of crossed the line when he kicks it. That's why they threw the flag. But since the kicker was the guy across the line, it's okay. And he kicked it, and he just runs right behind it. So whoever touches the ball first, he's going to be right there. And our punter's right with him. So it was those two. It was 2-on-1. The ball squirted. Our kicker and the one player from Toledo hit each other. Our punter hopped over the top and shuffled it in, and we had life.
How nerve-wracking is a play like that where, things just that ball's got to bounce so delicate. I liken it to when you're playing golf, and I'm like, how does somebody get a hole-in-one when it's so far away, and how do you make everything hook and whatnot? You need so many things to work and so many things to bounce your way. You're trusting in the field, you're trusting in the movement of all these bodies. Things have to fall in your direction no matter how many things you do right. So how nerve-wracking is a play like that? And how do you scheme for the fact that, there's uncontrollables that are going to happen with the ground and different pieces?
Yeah, I think you just practice. We've practiced all the different versions of that play, knowing that anytime the ball's on the ground, you got a chance. And you need to make sure you get yourself to the point. If they make a play, they make a play, but you have to always be in position to make the play if they don't execute perfectly. And that's really on an onside kick. It's like DBs. DBs crack me up. Like when they have great coverage, and we throw an unbelievable ball, back shoulder fade, and the guy turns and makes an unbelievable catch, and the DB gets all like, you did a great job. You were in position.
Yeah.
They threw the perfect ball. They made a play. You were where you were supposed to be. There's nothing else you could have done. I always try to get my guys pick your head back up. Like, you didn't let them be wide open. You didn't get burnt. You were right where you needed to be. The guy made a play. Tip your cap to him and go, and keep playing. And that's what we did on that play. We had a nice kick and we were right there. And if he would have got it cleanly, then we lose. But we were there. And that's what you just got to practice and getting them to understand. We have to force them to execute perfectly and make sure you're there and accounted for when they don't. And that's exactly what we did.
So you get it. Eskridge gets the ball. He gets around the 10. He comes around. They take him down. You get there, and there's 21 seconds, something like that, on the clock. And again, the commentator's like, well, you spike it now. You spike it. And you got to like this. I mean, I loved it all. I'm telling you, I was watching this like Christmas morning. And I'm not saying that because we know each other. My dog can vouch for me. She's on the bed. I'm watching it in the room. And I was like, all right, it's Leicester. They're down by 10, but it's Leicester. And then I'm watching this thing kind of unfold and happen. And I'm like, okay, all right, it's a 4-point game. And then I'm seeing stuff. And I got a little high pitched in the house. I got a little excited. You would have thought it was the MAC championship, but it was like that moment of the fake snap, no whistle. And not only does he toss a touchdown, but you bring in a walk-on wide receiver, correct, to do this?
No,
not a walk-on
normal wideout.
Okay, so there's a normal wideout. Yeah. So you bring your wideout out for this, and nobody's anywhere close to him in the end zone for something like this. I mean, one of the most fantastic, ballsy play. Like, I was like, that was such an awesome moment because it was awesome to see it. But then to know that you called, like, this is what you were doing, to have that fake spike and then the toss. I mean, I got to know about that because you were down, you were close, you were in the red zone, but Mr. Lester, you called a play about 0.00001% of people are going to call in a situation like that. You threw the trick of the trick up there.
Yeah, I love that play. I mean, we practice it every week. It is obviously – it's a play. Now I'll tell you from the analytics side of this play, yeah. When you actually stop the clock and spike the ball, they take 2 seconds off the clock. Okay, 2 seconds come off the clock, and you had zero chance of winning the game. You didn't even take a shot. In fact, you threw it at the ground. To take it, fake it, and throw a fade, it takes about 5 seconds. So you're losing 2 seconds regardless, but if you're willing to give up 3 more seconds, you get one more chance, one more swing at it, and with 17, 25, I think it was 17, 18, 22 seconds left, whatever it was, I'll give up 3 seconds for one more chance, because if we spike it, we probably line up and try to throw a fade again. Yeah. So it's a good call. I told the guys when we huddled after the onside kick, we were running it. I said, hey guys, when we get down there, we're running spike it. And that's the name of the play. And there's a lot of keys to the play. I said, hey, just make sure when I call it, the receivers, it's really important for the receivers and the quarterback to relay the signal, the international signal. Yeah. And that's not our signal for actually spiking it. That was our signal. Now I can't run it probably ever again. But yeah. So I just reminded the receivers, like, hey, when they do this, make sure you relay it so that corner over you see, which I thought there'd be a corner over him. I want the defense to see it, and so then they just stand there with their hands on their hips, and we have a shot. And the greatest thing was the play before. It was the same. We had checked down. We checked down 2 more times, and finally the Will linebacker had enough of Sean Tyler. He was sick of getting yelled at. Yeah. He jumped on Sean Tyler. D ran a dig right behind it. So I was so proud of the timing of Caleb. Finally, we got the Will to cover the running back, and it set up in theory, Dan, that's not the greatest time to call spike it because we just stopped the clock on a first down. In theory, there are better times to call spike it. But as soon as our whole team was showing that we were going to spike it, their team stopped playing. We had to wait for them to blow the whistle. The ref told the quarterback, like, you can't snap it to the whistle. And literally as soon as he blew the whistle, we snapped it. And I think he saw that there was no one out there covering our Z, which is where the ball goes to most of the time. we almost completed it against our team this training camp. We got by the guy because he wasn't ready for it, but then he rallied back and batted it down. But you know, to see them execute that, and we got to talk about it earlier. They knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And it was the difference in the game.
I mean, and you did it, and you put it out there. I mean, some people run so much vanilla, you don't. But you know, I mean, I've respected you, like I said, on and off the field for the entire time we've known each other. But I got to tell you, like that was a really, really, it was a gutsy play. And I mean, for all the years, for 18 plus years, I've been a broadcaster. I don't see that a lot. And that, I mean, I commend you for it because it shows belief in your team. I mean, I've seen coaches give up on their players. I've seen guys not take timeouts. You know, I've seen guys not do things, and you're quite the opposite. You were like poised, comfortable. We got this. Your team reacted that way. I mean, I give you a lot of credit for the ship that you're running in Western Michigan because I saw that you were down by 10, but it didn't feel like you were.
Yeah, our guys, I mean, they played hard. I mean, we didn't play great. We didn't tackle well. Like I said, a couple calls went strongly against us. We had an interception that they called back and they scored on the next play. We had a drive that got called back for a personal foul that, you know, wasn't a personal foul that I've now been confirmed shouldn't have been called. And so many things are going against us. And the key to everything you teach the guys to do is to not panic. You know, just keep playing and just keep playing. We get 60 minutes to play this great game. So let's play for all 60. And they were calm. I got to give them my offensive line. They were unbelievably calm. The receivers were calm. Caleb was calm. They knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
We've really been focusing on situational football. And we had so many situations that happened in a row. It's crazy that we had the onside kick. We had the spike it. We had 2 2-minute drills. We had a sky kick at the end of the game. Then we had to run jump, which is our end of the game defense. We batted down 3 passes to secure the win. And so it was fun to see them because you teach them all those things and you hope that they're buying into it because they don't necessarily. I've been coaching in 19, 20 years now, and I've called that play one other time in a game, and the defensive coordinator called timeout right as we were about to snap it, so we didn't even get to run it.
Yeah.
And that was at a Division III school, but it was going to work that one too. They didn't cover the same guy. It was a touchdown if their head coach hadn't called timeout. So. Yeah. So you have to wait 19 years for me to prove my point. Like, yeah. Hey, this works. It's going to help us, you know? And yeah. So you get that buy-in, you know? So now the next idea we come up with and say, hey, guys, we're going to try this. There's just a little bit more buy-in, you know? And that's how you build a program year to year. So
how much of your playbook do you have? Like, how much verbiage and different things do you have to change now 2 weeks in? Like, Now you got to shock us all again. So how much have you had to change?
Well, we have other ones. That was the one for that situation, you know. And yeah. Today was the day. Today was the day that we had our practice that we practiced it. So we practiced a different one today, okay. You know. But I don't think we're going to get away with that one again. We might have to actually stop the clock, and if we get in, actually in that situation, I will never spike it. If we get a first down, I'm calling a play. So, but if we ever need to stop the clock, we'll do that. And I'm not afraid to do it again. It's amazing.
Yeah.
If a one-on-one fade ball to a 6'3" receiver is a good call in a desperation situation anytime you want. And to have a little bit of trickeration that DB, even if he's there, yeah, and he sees the guy doing this and standing there like he's not even paying attention, and then the ball snapped and he runs by him. Like if he can just get a step, I'm not saying we won't run it again. You know, because if we have the situation that we think I'm willing to give up 3 seconds, because if I spike it, I'm losing 2 anyway. I'm willing to give up 3 seconds for one more shot at this end zone. I'll call it again.
That coming from Tim Lester here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora following the comeback win over Toledo. Tim, before I let you go, best thing about being on the field in a season where it wasn't. I mean, we talked about it. It was going to happen. It was going to be delayed. We didn't know. Now that you're back in it, you're back in the office, the games are happening, the schedule is upon us, you know, bring me into that because you've navigated through so much this year that, like you said, you've done it for, 19 years or so. And this year is completely different. So how have you handled it? How have you tackled it? does it feel any normal? Is there any normalcy at this point now that you're 2 games in, or does it still feel strange?
No, it's still strange. I mean, the mitigation, like all the different things we have to do, and in the state of Michigan, they just cracked down on us some more, so things had to change even more. And um, it is sacred. The way I talk to our team about it, it is sacred when you cross the line and get to play. You know, it's the best part. I mean, you go out there, the stress is still there, but to watch the joy when we score a touchdown or make a stop or make a big play, or I mean, that is why they play. That's why we play. That's why we coach, to watch the struggles that we go through and the way you can be resilient and the celebrations and how much fun they have together. And to get to that point, like there's so much stuff these guys have to go through, you know? And so that is the joy of the game. Is I think touchdowns are sweeter than ever right now.
Yeah.
I think big plays and stops are sweeter than ever. You know, it's you just appreciate it so much more because preparing for a game is a lot harder than it used to be, from meetings and masks and N95 masks and air purifiers and sanitizers and gloves. I mean, it's amazing the things our kids have to go through. So when they get to have some normalcy and they get to have some success, or they have something hard come at them and they overcome it, man, it's even more fun, I think, than it's ever been on game day during that 3.5 hours of competition.
I got to ask you about, I was told Kyle Knapp, who's from Kalamazoo, who went to Syracuse and went there, and it was there right before you got there as head coach. He told me to go to the Kalamazoo Beer Exchange, where it's like the stock market with beer and what. Tell me about this.
Now, okay, I have not been there. Okay. It was not here when I was a quarterback coach here. It was not here when I was a quarterback here and when I was a player.
Okay.
And since I've come back as a head coach, I don't think I can go in there. I don't know if I could be seen in there, to be honest with you. But I know a ton of people, and that's where I send a lot of people, because there is so many breweries. Obviously, Bell's Brewery is right in town.
Yeah, I think I heard about that one too from Kyle.
Right across the street. It's a huge company here in town. So there's all kinds of microbrews, and they literally have a stock market up there. And then you hear the bell, and just the prices change, and you get to see some prices go up. I think it's if they don't have a lot of beer of that kind of beer left, it goes up.
Yeah.
And when they want to get rid of some, they drop it like $1, and it goes from whatever $4.25 to $3.25, and everyone goes running to the bar and orders beer. It is a really, everyone that goes there has a blast. They say the food's really good too, but as the head coach, I keep my head in the sand as much as I can.
So if I come out to Kalamazoo, where are you taking me first? Where are we going?
Well, my favorite place here in town, food, there's so many good places. There's a restaurant chain around here, or not a chain, a company that owns all these unique restaurants, which is fun because there's a lot of places to eat. My favorite of all of them, it's called Latitude 42.
Okay. They
have unbelievable wings, unbelievable beer, unbelievable food. There's 2 of them here in town. There was one, they just opened another. I stumbled upon it. Some young man was flying in for an official visit. He was getting here late. We needed to eat, and they're like, "Hey, there's a restaurant over there by the airport.
Yeah,
and let's go to it." And we walked in. And one thing about official visits, you get tons of appetizers, right? So they're all over the table. You get to try a ton of things with the family, and all the coaches are kind of looking at each other during the meal, like, "Holy cow! Like, this is right in town, and we didn't even know it existed." Yeah. And the manager was like, "Hey, we're opening another one right near campus, and that one just opened about a year ago." So that's probably my number one go-to, that when people come to town, I send them there because of it's all crafted beer. It's their own beer, and their food is phenomenal.
So what should I know? A final note here. What should I know about Kalamazoo when I come out there, and I'm obviously going to a Western Michigan game, and I'm all geared up with Lester looking like a coach because you gave me the good stuff. Shout out to your equipment guy too. What are we doing in Kalamazoo? Like, how do you make my trip a Kalamazoo centric trip? How do I come back knowing something about Kalamazoo?
I think the most unique part about this area, it's like a little bubble in Southwest Michigan. So if you like lakes, if you like outdoors, everyone lives on a lake around here. There's about 20 minutes away, there's a lake called Gull Lake, which is the big lake. I mean, you need a lot of money to be on Gull Lake. and it's crystal clear blue. And like, if you like to fish, I mean, in the summer, there is no better place to be, and obviously this is one of the brewery capitals of the Midwest, so a great place in the summertime to be outside, and just good people. I mean, Midwest people, people that don't necessarily, we are the midpoint between Chicago and Detroit. We can be in Chicago. I think it's 139 miles to Chicago and 141 to Detroit. So you can get in a lot of good arguments between the Bears and the Lions and the Sox and the Tigers. We're right in the middle, know, and so people that live here love being around this place. And we have some really big companies here. So there's a lot of resource here. There's a lot of people that raise their families here because Stryker, the number 1 medical supply company in the world, is here.
Yeah.
Pfizer.
Kyle works for her, Kyle Knapp. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, is that who he works for? That's a good job. Along with a lot of people that work for Stryker. And then there's Pfizer, which everyone knows what they're trying to get this. It's a, pharmaceutical companies here. Kellogg's, you've had cereal, promise you that. They're all headquartered here. And then Bell's Brewery obviously is huge. And so it's a really cool place because it's not a big city, but we have, I think it's $5 billion companies here. Wow. So there's neighborhoods and place to raise families. And so it's a really unique niche. And obviously I'm biased because I went to school here and I love it here. But it's a great place to raise the family, a lot to do. And you can get to Grand Rapids in 45 minutes, either Chicago or Detroit in 2 hours. And we're very fortunate that our location does matter. When it comes to recruiting, you can get the population really fast, and we can get some really good football players. 2
final points. You talked about raising a family. Your wife and your 3 boys are with you. How do they like Kalamazoo?
They love it. I mean, there are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 sheets of ice in this town. So one of my oldest loves hockey. So if you like to play hockey, we're in Syracuse. That's where he learned how to skate out on the reserve. I forget the name of the reserve. We used to go down there. So he kind of fell in love with skating when we were at Syracuse. Yeah. Then I went to Purdue, and the only way to skate was to drive to Indianapolis 2 hours away. So he didn't play hockey for a year, which he missed. And then he moves to a town that has 6 sheets of ice. And you can play anytime, anywhere. They love it. They love the schools. With all the neighborhoods I talked about, we have 2 towns that have, top schools in the state. And there's good people. So it's a great place to be. And we were here when we bought our first house, me and my wife. This is before any of the kids. Yeah. And we love this place. So now we're coming back with our 3 kids, and it's been fun raising them here.
The last thing, you were recruited, obviously. You came to Western Michigan. Now that you're the head coach and have been the head coach, this being year number 4, you know what got you there. Do you feel, and do you try to make the things that helped you to fall in love with the place and sell the place because you knew what got you there? Do you feel that you parallel that in any way in your recruiting message?
I think so. One of the main reasons I chose Western Michigan was 2. One's going to sound funny, but one's important. They were great people. I love the coaches. They were down-to-earth people. I didn't feel like they were trying to sell me a car or anything like that. And it was a beautiful campus. I mean, I'm from Illinois, and it's the flattest place in America. And I come here, and there's hills, and our stadium is built into a hill. And for some reason, every day when I close my eyes, when I pictured what a college campus would look like, hills, big trees, like the fall is a beautiful place around here. A lot like upstate New York. I mean, it's very similar to when I was there. Like it's just beautiful. Yeah. And I felt the same about Syracuse when I saw it. Like, hey, this is what a college should look like, So when I came to campus and I just drove around, I was already kind of falling in love with the look of it, Yeah. And then I met the people. And it was different, and so, and we sell the same thing. Now the town has come so far since then. I mean, all these companies I just talked about were like little companies back then, and now they're all worldwide companies. And, my neighbor, every time I talk to him, he's in a different country running for strike. I mean, he's a striker. He's in Europe. He's in, China. He's all over. Yeah. And so it's just gotten stronger and stronger since I've been here, but the people and the beauty of this place have always remained the same. And I think we have more to sell now than when we did when I came here,
That coming from Tim Lester, Western Michigan Broncos head coach. and very, very gutsy in all the best ways. I loved it. I had to get you on video to congratulate you, but we have only just begun with this season. I know you want a MAC championship, and there's a lot of other things that you want. So, my best to you with all that. But thank you for making sure that I'm looking pretty when I'm out here.
You look good. You look good.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.